Expect our arrival next week on Friday. Polina read this message on her husband's phone. Waking up early in the morning, her mood deteriorated sharply and even her head began to ache a little. She ran to her husband, Stepan, who was already preparing breakfast. "Are your relatives coming again?" she asked, glancing at the message. She could tell by his frowning expression that her husband wasn't thrilled either. "Stepa, what should I do?" she asked. Couldn't calm down. "And what to do?" "Well, I can't forbid my own brother to come to visit," he replied. Polina remembered how their last visit ended in a pogrom. When she and her husband dreamed of moving to the Crimea, they did not expect that relatives would visit every summer, one or the other. But we didn't take into account all the little things. Last time, the cozy apartment almost turned into ruins and they had to face financial losses. Polina was worried about this, especially considering that a couple of months ago she found out that she was pregnant. She did not want to experience a new pogrom and a repeat of the previous situation. "Maybe this time it will be different," she said. "What else?" "Our children are little monsters. They destroy everything in their path," Stepa replied. Polina realized that she would have to make an effort to establish order and keep the house cozy when the relatives arrived. This time, she decided to take measures in advance to avoid chaos and financial losses. And together with her husband, they began to develop a plan for how to arrange guests without allowing an invasion of their family nest. He threw away the TV and then stood laughing. "And when their Dasha threw the tablet into the tub and Veronica broke my work laptop in half. A grown woman, you know? Well, they would at least compensate for all this somehow, but they didn't even ask for an apology. I'm already silent about the expensive powder that she dragged home with her. And not just the powder. And how many of my things?" Stepa seemed to remember all this, but a whole year passed and the resentment subsided. And he missed his brother a little. They were very friendly as children. "The difference is only a year. We were always together everywhere. And then we went to different cities and began to see each other very rarely. And their children got older. Maybe this time it will be easier." Stepa: "Little kids are little kids and big kids are big kids. Besides, they are only a year older. Honey, I'm begging you. Tell them we're going somewhere." His wife begged him where to go to the sea. "So we live only 20 kilometers from the sea, but I don't know." "Well, tell them that we will fly to Turkey or sail or away. And then they will wait for photos on Instagram or offer to reschedule the visit. I don't know what to do. Slavik, after all, is my younger brother. I haven't seen him for a whole year. Stepishka, you understand I'm pregnant. I shouldn't be so nervous." "You said yesterday that pregnancy is not a disease," the husband objected. Polina really said it, hiding behind pregnancy. "It's still a stupid idea." Her husband put a mug of tea in front of her. Polina stared into the mug and involuntarily began to recall the events of last year, when they had to give up their bedroom to Slavik and Veronika, because there were not enough beds for everyone in the living room. The family members were really small. Their son still sometimes urinated at night, and they often forgot to put an oilcloth under him and use diapers. He is already 3 years old. Dasha woke up before everyone else at 5 in the morning, and she woke up not her mother and not her father, but Stepa and Polina. I had to get up and entertain my niece so that everyone else could sleep. And Veronica, it seems, is an adult girl, but she turned out not to be too smart. Not that it was her fault, but how could she accidentally break the mixer and not say right away? And then try to fix it with her own clumsy hands before everything was flooded. Polina understood that if all this happened again, and she had to cook for 2 families for several days, she would simply go crazy. Also considering that she will need to take care of herself and the baby. "Are you serious?" The husband asked. "Why, these are your relatives. You entertain, and I have to take care of myself and the baby. What about work? And I'll take my laptop with me. I'll still need it. It's dangerous to leave him at home. Veronica may accidentally do something with the internet. My parents have the internet, and I will work there." The husband replied with a note of resentment, but did not object. Thursday, As Polina promised, she went to her parents. She cleaned up the apartment, but she cooked food only for dinner, and Stepa had some left for breakfast. When the guests arrived and found an empty refrigerator, they were very surprised. "And what? Polina, didn't she even leave you food?" Veronica was the first to be indignant. "But we'll cook something ourselves. What's the problem?" He stood up in defense of Stepa's wife. "I immediately told Slavik that I'm not going to cook on vacation, and I won't," Polina said. "Well, then we'll cook something ourselves," her husband replied. "Then start and quickly. I'm hungry, and so are the kids." At this point, Stepa realized that Polina didn't just run away for a moment. He regretted that he had not gone with her to visit her parents, but now it was too late. The first evening, they decided to order pizza as there were some products in the refrigerator, and the guys didn't really want to cook. After dinner, they went to bed, and Veronica again insisted that Stepa give them a big bed, and he had no choice. He had to agree. The next morning, when their brand new mattress turned out to be wet again after the last arrival, Polina realized that she had been saving money for 6 months to buy a new one, and the smell of urine could not be removed in any way. He imagined how Polina would be disappointed again and mentally apologized to her, then went to prepare breakfast. It's good that Dasha stopped waking up at 5 in the morning. Stepa began to evaluate all the delights of staying relatives in their apartment. "What? Your sister-in-law doesn't cook at all?" I asked Stepa when his brother came. "Why do they cook at home, but they just don't want to on vacation? And what do you think I'm going to cook for you all these days?" he asked. "And I didn't think that Polina would leave us and leave. I'll talk to my wife," Stepa replied. Polina specially packed a bigger suitcase and took away absolutely all the things she could borrow. She has Veronica, and yet she took all the cosmetics and even her shampoos with bombs, although this was not necessary. The guests discovered this the very next morning when they wanted to take a shower and found that all the fashionable silk dressing gowns, tasteless smelling of lavender, and shard gel had disappeared. "Polya, why did you pack everything with you?" the daughter-in-law asked indignantly. "The people in the bathroom took only what they needed. Why did she decide to leave it all?" "I knew we were coming to visit," Stepan's mother said, and Mom asked. Stepan lied. "They need our help, oh, and your wife's parents can't wait a week," Slavik said. "What else do I have to cook for everyone now?" "Well, Polina did it last time. Now it's your turn," Slavik teased her. The week dragged on very slowly, and every day Stepan prepared new surprises for Polina. Polina called every day, asking how things were going, but he did not dare to tell her anything. True, he anticipated her displeasure when she returned. He endured for a long time, but his patience came to an end at a certain moment. Pashka was a real schoolboy, and Veronica took the children for a walk in the yard. Their car was parked nearby, but it seems that this did not go unnoticed by the nephew. He managed to break the rear window on the passenger door, playing with a stone. When Stepa heard the alarm and saw what had happened, he broke into a scream. He said a lot of things to Veronica, driving her to rage and to tears. Slavik understood his discontent, but he could not forgive such an attitude towards his wife and son. At that moment, they packed up their things and went home. 2 days later, Polina also returned. Stepan had just finished tidying up the house, and he had to work hard to remove the traces of the marker from the mirrors and the greenery from the carpet, although he never managed to do the latter. He gave the mattress to the dry cleaners, hoping that his wife would not notice anything, but he forgot that pregnancy had especially sharpened her sense of smell. The first night she couldn't even stand it and went to sleep in another room. In the morning they decided to calculate the losses, minus the mattress, Polina said sullenly, and minus an umbrella for the beach and the sun loungers, Stepan added, minus for plates and my favorite mug, and a minus with Ava's phone, not to mention the mosquito net on the balcony. How did they even manage to rip it out? Minus also the carpet. After calculating the amount, Stepa finally realized that the guests cost them too much. I had to promise my wife that this would not happen again. "I really hope so," Polina said with a smile and asked Stepa to record this promise on video.